Good evening, this is Kuro and both the dinosaurs, and the purpose of this video is going to be covering a lot of things. Setting up your account for basically your Minimap and everything that you need for awareness, and also going to run you through some of the things I do to learn the finer parts of a map. So to start out with, going to take you into the training room. For those that don't know, training room, actually I think you need to enable that in settings. So if you haven't done that, you come over to your settings menu. Let's see, I think it's under controls. Yes, all scenarios of the training room. You want to have that enabled because there's just a standard training room. There's stuff in there that you can't actually do. And for those that are wondering how I have my controls set up, this is a good time to take a look. I always have collision avoidance off because there's a lot of times I need to scrape islands, and the last thing I want is some alternate control trying to keep me from running aground when running aground is exactly what I want to do. I do like the alternate interface turned on. That gives me the most amount of information. Hi, baby. Can you say hi? I do keep the terrain indicator on. Sometimes it lies to you, but it's better than nothing. Important things for a destroyer to have is your spotting damage. Have that turned on. That will help you learn over the course of the game when you had good positioning, because you'll see your spotting counter just going up and up and up, and if it drops off for minutes at a time, you know either your team is potatoes and they're not able to land hits, or you're out of position. Either you're not providing the vision or you're spotting targets that the team can't or won't shoot. So, hey, number two, you're all right. Yeah, Daddy'll open the gate. Hi, there you go. Okay, so everything else is pretty straightforward. Control-wise, I do a couple things different. I do change the artillery camera and my lock-on target buttons to a button on my mouse. I've done that ever since I was playing with the dinosaurs on my lap when they were an infant. And, hey, buddy, stay out of my whiskey. And they in those days they would just try to lay on the keyboard, trying to watch the screen, that kind of thing. So anything that I could do to get buttons off the keyboard helped me play quite a bit. Everything else is fairly straightforward, so I'm gonna cut that off. If you've got any questions, just go on ahead, fire away, and I will respond to them the best I can. Do you want to help? Yeah? Come on, buddy, let's help Daddy. Okay. Alright, so getting to the training room, gonna change the mode. We're gonna open our own, so create battle. And for a map, I'm just gonna pick shards, why not? So you've got different styles of maps. So you've got the ranked version, you've got clan battles, domination. Hey, you can't wear the headset, buddy. Daddy's using the headset right now. I know, Daddy's mean. You're all right. So just so I don't get bothered here. Hey, you're all right. Yeah. Do you want to play? Yeah? Okay, so right off the bat, when I'm doing these types of things, I like to load in with a fast ship so I can get around the the cap as quick as possible. I don't believe I need any sort of bot, but just for giggles, let's see if there's a target that I want to have. Hey, you're okay. Yeah, you need to chill out. Yeah, you're all right. Well, that sucks. They don't have Stalingrad. Hey. Shh. You're okay. So when you're picking a bot in the training room, the boxes are pretty self-explanatory. The AI level, low, medium to high. High is actually can get pretty difficult. It's basically like a crazy aim bot. And shh. Hey. You're all right. You're all right. We're not playing yet. We got to set it up. Yeah, we got to set it up. So the AI, at high, it's, it can be pretty sophisticated. In this case, I just want a placeholder while I do my thing. So, gonna go on ahead, drop into battle. Here we go, buddy. Here we go. Yeah. Oh, is there only one? Is there only one? Okay, buddy, here we go. So, to start out with, gonna give you a rundown on hold on. He's not wanting to stay on my lap. Hey, buddy. There you go. Give you a rundown on some of the situational awareness that I run on the Minimap and my account in general. So, for example, I don't like having to go back to this sort of screen for information about what's going on in the game. My mods tell me what the enemy lineup is. The green bar tells me, as they were last spotted, roughly what their HP was. The counters here, you'll see as I cap a point, will give me a countdown for who's going to win the game. I'll talk more about that later on. And then the important stuff is Minimap. How do I set my Minimap up? And the secret to it is using your certain amount of circles that you can use as a scale. And so, for example, okay, I'm coming up here to A cap, and I'm going to use these circles as like a scale. So, for example, 13.6 kilometers is 1.6 kilometers longer than a Russian radar. So I can tell that I'm already within radar range for Stalingrads and Moskvas, stuff like that down here, if they're hugging these islands. That gives me an idea. 8 kilometers, add 2 kilometers to that, and that is all the U.S. Cruisers, heavy cruisers at this tier. 1 kilometer more for the light cruisers. So on the fly, I can use my torpedo circles and my gun, max gun circles, as an indicator to try to give me an idea whether I can make moves and be outside of radar range, based on my experience of when ships are spotted when they're not. So for example, a radar cruiser hiding back here that hasn't been spotted, I know that if I'm this close, I can't really smoke up and fight an enemy DD because I'm likely to get radared, just because of my circles here. So that should be an automatic, freebie when it comes to fighting destroyers, stuff like that, and avoiding that situation where you get caught by radar. The last circle is your concealment circle. On my mini-map, it's this blue dashed line. This is important for a lot of different ships. For example, in Kleber, you'll see me use something like my concealment circle where I will keep it behind a cap, and like, for example, slide up here and do it like this. I don't want to go too far because there's another thing that I want to talk about here shortly. But if I'm, for example, if I'm getting ready to gunboat, this is actually too close. Here, I'll zoom in. Am I zoomed in all the way? Yeah, I'm zoomed in all the way on this mini-map. That sucks. But I'll back off a little. Okay. So you can see, if you look closely, the cap is just beyond my my detection circle. So if a DD went to back into A cap or drive into A cap from this angle, I would actually have advance notice that something is in the cap and is about ready to spot me before that happens. That gives me time to, for example, pop my engine boost or start turning out or dumping torps into the channel, whatever it is, sort of corrective action that I can take. I'm using the cap basically as like a bobber or an indicator. And in a way, I can either use it to, allow me to already start escaping before I'm even spotted, or beta trap where I'm going to torp this channel, or potentially both. So there's a lot of good stuff that goes into that. So let's talk about cap positioning. Right off the bat, when you're capping as a DD, you want to limit your threat angles. You need to think about what it is you're trying to do, what purpose you're having in the cap. For example, if I'm pushing up here and I'm light on this flank, and I'm in my Kleber, for example, I'm going to use my speed and I'm sliding into the island because I'm a potato. Maybe I can save it. Yes, I can, because I'm that good. One thing I would want to do is, okay, I've got, say it's a gearing or Shima or something like that. They outspot me. I'm going to use my speed advantage. I'm going to get my butt way up here. Now, there's only certain areas where the enemy can cap from here. So, the enemy is going to step into the cap, and I'm going to use, with my speed boost, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to engage. I can torp, I can shoot, whatever. And the idea being, I'm able to get my resets and just bail out. Deal my damage and then just bail before the enemy cruisers and battleships really are in a position where they can do anything about it. It's very nasty for an enemy DD trying to deal with a gunboat that has so much better firepower, and it's the balancing factor is you're dealing with concealment. You're supposed to be able to spot these things before they can come up and ambush you, and in this case, I'm using terrain to negate that advantage. And with my concealment circles, as I talked about, I know that, for example, if I had smoke, I'm not really able to use that smoke in this instance. So let's talk about capping. These caps can be rather painful to take. And they can be painful because torpedoes, the enemy team knows roughly where you are. So, I'm going to talk about positioning. Take a look at what can actually torp me from this position. I'm using this rock. Nothing can really torp me here or here. They have to come all the way over to here. And that takes a destroyer a very long time to get all the way over into actually this channel. And if that happens, I'm a narrow profile and I can just kite straight out. It's important that when you're in the cap, don't back up, because if you back up, look how long it takes for you to get going forward. It's a very long time. This boat has very good horsepower to ton ratio. So, you know, contrast that with, you know, being pretty much at a dead stop. It's much faster just to accelerate forward and get moving and be on your way. So those are some general ideas about trying to cap. And when I do these little, you know, tours around a map, that's something that I'm looking for. What are the real clever areas for me to try to cap? You know, and I try to find them on both sides of the map. It may take me, you know, a couple games to load in and, you know, really uh, work out where the good areas to cap are. Um, you know, another good one is right here. If you're on the south spawn, actually no, it's right here. Duh. And there's a route in here that basically you're coming through, and see this gap right here. You can actually drive your DD, come wide in here, come up through here, and you come right into here, stay out of the cap, and you basically drive into that and back in here, and then once you're in this channel or that little notch, you can back right into the cap and look at this tuck. This is a pretty solid tuck. You can just drift right in here, a little bit further forward. Now, when you cap, you only need to get the halfway point in the cap. So right here, I would be capping the point. And Kleber is a fairly big destroyer. With the smaller DDs, you're even better tucked in here. And if I do this correctly, I could actually be tucked right in here. But I approached it from kind of an awkward angle. But the idea being teaching you guys some of the areas where you can cap safely. Here, you've got some different, you know, cap options here, where either you can try to cap in the open water on either side or hug the islands, depending. It's up to you.
Boost des moteurs activé.
And here you can see some of the information starting to roll in. I took a cap, you can see the points tick, but this mod enables you to actually see how long until the game is won. Now there's 8 minutes left in the battle, so we'll see if I can get to the other cap so I can get that information to you guys. Actually, a 25mm bow. Okay, I better stop. I don't actually want to kill him. So, same thing when you're coming up C-cap. You got some different options. Now, on C-cap, I think A-cap has the better option to try to... I think the South has better hidey holes to cap A than the North spawn. But I believe C-cap has better spots to cap C than South spawn. So it kind of equals out in my opinion. I'll show you kind of probably one of the best capping positions on C from the south side. But it still gets rough if the enemy team gets ships up into this vicinity, it can be hard to work this island. So, if you're going to cap, I basically would come up here. I do want to see if I can get any vision. If there's a cruiser or something crossing in the background, might give my battleships a good shot to blap them as they're trying to move into like a position up here, or you know, behind this island or something. So, pretty solid position is this right back in here. And this is where having terrain avoidance turned off really can help you quite a bit. Not in here really perfect, but you get an idea. Trying to use this rock as a torpedo break. Since I don't actually want to cap this, I'm going to go ahead and pop out, and then I'm going to drive through the cap and give you the rundown on capping from the northern spawn. And again, you can see, you know, your max gun torpedo and torpedo circles on the minimap give you a very good idea of, you know, when you're radar safe, when you're not. If the radar cruiser's out in the open, you're going to be able to spot him. But it's when he's tucked in behind islands, that's where these things come into your advantage. And I think that there's a lot of destroyer players that make the misplay that they don't have these things enabled on the minimap, and they struggle with the situation of, you know, accidentally blundering into a hidden radar. So, since I've got 4 minutes, I'm actually going to approach this like I normally would.
Boost des moteurs désactivé.
So, okay, you're coming up from spawn. Come on, let's turn sharper, turn sharper. For those that are curious why I slow down, you actually turn sharper with most ships around half speed. So, little tip, if you get hung up, getting down to half speed can, now this has a pretty large turning circle, so this is going to take some doing. Don't drift. There we go. Come on, fat boat. You can see as it slows down, the sharper the turn. Okay. Now the idea is to use this little beach here. Come on. And you can back right in here, nice and pretty, and be able to cap. Now, another thing. Autopilot changed in this game, and in the closing minutes I'm gonna kind of give you a rundown on it. So, say for example I'm gonna try to beach really bad here. So, okay, pain in the ass beach, like stuck on the island. I try to beach and I can't, Jesus. Okay. See if I can't get myself good and stuck. Okay, turn in here. Okay. Now I should really get stuck. You're alright. Okay. So, I'm stuck. Hit M enter your map mode and
Pilotage
just
automatique
click off.
activé. Pilotage automatique désactivé.
Oh, apparently
Pilotage automatique activé. Pilotage automatique désactivé. Pilotage
English,
automatique
please.
activé. Pilotage
Yep.
automatique activé. Pilotage automatique activé. Pilotage automatique
Have
activé.
I broke it? The patch might have broke this. Hey, hey, you're all right. It does. It worked in the last patch because I did actually end up using it. Let me give this a shot. Okay.
Pilotage automatique activé.
There you go. So click in a general direction and it will work you off the island. So when you get those stucks that you just can't figure out, and it's just taking forever, as like a desperation ploy, go into the map by pressing M and click on the mini map in a direction that you think that you can go. Maybe I should have clicked backwards. That really wasn't a fair grounding because it was just my bow that was grounded. Um, One of the other things that you can see here, this game's getting ready to wind down, is when you're on the using autopilot, your ship veers from side to side, and you'll never reach top speed that way. So if you're trying to, get somewhere in a hurry, watch my ship. Okay, I turn to the angle, and it's this little wiggle here that will keep you from ever hitting your full speed. So just a lot of general ideas here to help you guys either take caps or give yourself an idea how I learned to work around caps, that kind of thing. Um, there's a lot of things in this video that I think can help a lot of destroyer players in general. So hope you guys are having a good night. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. And I hope you have a good night.